Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Sean Lazarus. You're listening to the Finished Podcast. We had a crazy weekend. We had Bellator. We had UFC. I got Nick Portella on the line, and we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to see what he thinks and see what I think. We're going to see where we stand. So enjoy the show, guys. Nick, what's going on, man?
Hey, Sean, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, just trying to get over this past weekend. We had a great weekend of awesome fights, and thought the Bellator card was good. I thought the UFC Liverpool card was okay. But I thought we had it was definitely a good weekend for an MMA fan, for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, last time we talked, we were going to come back and talk about our predictions. Case in point, the Michael Page-Rickles fight.
Oh.
I never saw anything like this happening. Where he verbally quit is where I thought he was going to pick up the pace and grind him out.
No, I agree. Yeah, that was definitely something. I didn't see that way either, because with him verbally quitting, I could see MVP, maybe knocking him out, something like that, but not a verbal tap out like that. I'm still not 100% sure what happened. I heard MVP said looks like his eye ruptured or something. I don't know. I don't even know the full story on that.
I don't know. Rickles was on later that day. Well, the next day in Liverpool,
okay.
And his eye was showed up and it looked okay. But who knows? He's not one to quit. So something must have happened.
Yeah, it's definitely. I don't think anybody saw it happening exactly like that. Where do you think MVP goes from here?
I really don't know. I think he's. I mean, that was I think his hardest test. Unfortunately, there was some kind of complication that it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
And he talks about taking over. I want to take over the world. I'm going to be the best. I mean, maybe the next move for him is try to come over to the UFC. Who knows? But I don't think he fares out as good in the welterweight division in the UFC.
He definitely has an interesting his approach and his stance and the way he fights is definitely interesting. He's very comfortable. He's very much confident, in the octagon, and he's very much confident in his skills. I think when he says that, legit, he can take on the world, every other fighter says that, but I don't know if I necessarily believe every other fighter actually believes that in themselves, if that makes sense. I know. I
think he believes it.
Exactly.
He believes it.
That's what I was getting at. I think I really get a genuine sense that he legit thinks that he is, that he's something special, and I think he knows it. And I think that he's got some bargaining power. I don't know how many fights he has left on his Bellator contract, but I think he definitely has some bargaining power, because I don't think that I don't think he's going to be somebody that Bellator is, going to want to lose.
Oh, no way. I think he should fight more, though. It's kind of odd, like he's hit or miss,
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I think I would like to see him come over to the UFC, and I mean, obviously he could probably, unfortunately, cut the line and probably fight a top 10 guy. I'd like to see him fight a very high-level wrestler.
Like who? You have somebody in mind?
Well, pretty much the top 10 in the UFC could all wrestle. Woodley, Covington, RDA. I mean, you got, what's his name? Ben Askren retired undefeated as a welterweight, and he's looking to jump back into the game. It could be anybody.
Man, I hate to say this because I know a lot of people are going to say something about it, but as good as Ben Askren is, I just don't know. I think the UFC is a way bigger pond, and he was a big fish in a lot of small ponds. Not to take anything away from him, like I don't want to bash him, but I just don't know if Ben Askren can really jump in and just. I don't know. I really don't know. It's just It's just
Yeah,
one of those things that I'd have to see. I'd have to see it
yeah.
happen.
Well, he offered to come and fight GSP because GSP was looking for something, and he says his wrestling, he can out wrestle him and beat him. I say they just give him a 1-fight contract, and either he'll prove his point or it'll shut him up. But one of the two things will happen.
You think they would really give him GSP though, just right off the bat?
I mean, you got a guy who was arguably the greatest welterweight, went up and got the middleweight belt, vacated the belt, and is kind of stagnant. I mean, I don't even think I don't think they have him rated in the top 10 as a welterweight.
No, it's weird. He's not in the rankings as welterweight, but he's in the rankings in pound for pound. And I want to say
Right.
yeah, it's weird. It's a weird situation. He's not ranked in any division right now, but he's like number 4.
I think he's 2.
Two, maybe.
2 or 3.
Oh, is it that high? Okay. Yeah, I know it's top 5, and it's a weird situation they kind of have him in.
So it may be, I don't know, who knows? If he's looking, if he's looking to just continue his legacy, and I feel like Ben Askren challenges some people that the fights are not possible.
Right.
Like they just can't make it happen. But they could make this fight happen. That's the ball's in the UFC's court, and I think it would be a love-hate thing. Half the people would come to watch him get beat up. The other half would come to see him win, but everyone would come to watch, and that's good business.
My only fear with bringing in somebody like Ben Askren is, I think a lot of MMA fans, if you've been a fan for more than a minute, I think you've at least heard of Ben Askren. Maybe you haven't seen any of his fights, but you've at least heard the name. My worry is that, to the mainstream fan, and I hate the word casual, but to the casual fan, to just the regular mainstream audience, you might as well. I mean, as far as they're concerned, you might as well have GSP, fight a broomstick. They're not going to know who Ben Askren is, and I think that's a worry that I would have against that. And like I said, no disrespect to Ben, it's just the way it is. He's just, he did good in Bellator, but that was before Bellator started getting a little more notoriety and a little more of a following. He was bigger in Bellator when it was still, they were still doing like regional shows, maybe a little bit bigger than regional shows, but you get the idea. What'd you think about Gegard Mousasi winning the title?
I think Gegard might want to be the best middleweights ever to fight uncrowned, and he finally got it.
I thought
he's a monster.
Let me tell you what, when he was in there, it looked like they were, 20 or 30 rankings apart. Like it looked like they didn't even the guy didn't even deserve to be in the octagon with him, and it's like I said, no disrespect to that guy, but it just was not. It wasn't even a fair match. It was. It looked terrible. It really did. It looked terrible. Gegard just went in there and just beat the brakes off of him, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, and it was. I don't even think he broke a sweat doing it, to be honest with you.
No, it didn't look like he did. It looked like easy work. And again, what are they going to do for him? Who do they have to challenge him? I don't know. I think Bellator's got great champions. And I like the promotion personally, but I think their roster has to get deeper. So when somebody like Gegard wins, there's 10 guys who might have a chance to beat him.
What do you think about? I have a problem with this. I'll get your take on it. I have a problem with the champion calling people out, with the exception of the guy he's calling out being another champion, another division, or a really big name, like for instance, Conor McGregor as champion calling out a GSP. That's a little different because GSP is a huge name. But Gegard, at the end of the fight, he called out Roy. I just don't know. I don't like the idea of the champions calling out, other fighters. I don't think it should be like that. I think you're the champion. You're at the top of the heap. I get you want to fight Roy, but I just don't think that it's you're sitting at the top now. I think it almost kind of takes away from you being the one doing the call outs. I know. I think I heard Woodley talk about that one time, and I completely agree with that. What do you think about that?
I think once you're the champion, you have to fight whoever's number one on the roster. You don't get to choose because you got the top 15 list beating the shit out of each other, trying to get a shot at you. I just don't think you should be able to pick and choose. And if you are going to call somebody out, at least make it somebody in your weight class.
What do you think about? Well, let's just say this. Let's say not even from a perspective of necessarily trying to pick his fight, but let's just take that part away. Let's just say just talking trash. I don't think as a champion, I don't think he should be talking about someone that's not even, like you said, not even in the same division. But like I said, he's the champion. This guy is, I don't even know where Roy's at in the welterweight division. He's 2-3. I think he's in the top 5, right over there.
You are right. I mean, like the DC Stipe thing. All right, they're looking to make somebody's trying to become a 2-weight world champion. Well, one of them is.
Right.
So that I guess that kind of makes sense.
Right.
But not really. I think it like boxing follows that rule. I'm the number one contender. You're the champion. I get to fight you. And that's just it. I'm number one. You're the champ. That's the fight to make.
Who do you think they put against Gegard? Do you think there's anybody right now that's in Bellator that could even, I dare say, even really give him a run for his money, give him a good fight?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, they can find people that'll train to fight him, and I'm not knocking any one of them guys because they're going to go in there looking to knock his head off. But he's just got, I think, too much experience and too many fights, and I just think he's going to sit there. He's going to sit and be the king until he decides to leave.
You think he uses being the champion? Let's just say he keeps the title for a little while. Let's say he fights out his contract with Bellator. You think he uses that as a stepping stone to get a better contract and go back to the UFC?
100%. I'm not sure. I mean, he left due to negotiation issues.
Right.
He went over to Bellator and became a champion, but everybody knew that was going to happen.
Right.
Like I don't know that there would be that many doubters. And then, you know what? There's his competition. Let him move through let him fight Robert Whittaker because I don't see anybody beating him anytime soon either.
You don't think Yoel stands a chance when they fight in Chicago?
I don't. Nah, I think it's going to be the same. You're going to see the same fight, only with a finish. Because he fought with a busted leg from round 1, and Yoel is no small fish. He's a legit contender. That guy is freakishly strong and big and agile. I think Whittaker's got the division's ticket. I just think it's his time.
I tell you, I think that Romero. How do I want to word this? I think Romero has the tools to beat him, but his problem is the way he fights. He has to. He's very specific in the way he fights. He has to fight with. He has to set up all of his punches, and Whittaker was smart in knowing that. Really, I don't have to necessarily stop this guy. I don't really have to do a whole lot. I just have to stop him from setting up and letting him get comfortable enough in order to punch me. I don't really have to. There's really not a whole lot I have to do in the sense of I don't have to dodge a whole lot of punches. I don't necessarily have to get out the way. I just have to stop him from setting up in order for him to get comfortable in order to punch me. And I think that something like that, and he figured it out quick, and something like that, I don't know you can you can't really retrain, or there's no fight camp, I think, that can change Romero's mindset. That's one of those things I think that's just instinctful with him. And
I'm actually I'm I'm actually very surprised he didn't go completely back to his roots and with like a wrestling based attack.
just wrestling.
You know, like
yeah,
because Whitaker's great on the ground, but he's not an Olympic wrestler.
right.
So, I mean, I really thought that was going to be when the striking exchanges weren't working. I thought it was going to turn into a wrestling match. But Whitaker's takedown defense was great. And the times he did get taken down, he made sure to, scooch to the cage and get right back up. I mean, he did everything right.
So, I guess let's jump to. So it's obviously a lot of controversy and a lot of there's definitely a lot of opinions. The Thompson Till finish, and I know.
Oh my!
And I and I know we've both kind of everybody has their own opinion of it, and I think that I guess let's break down what did you think? How do you think it went?
Now I watched the fight as it happened.
Okay.
Well, the broadcast, and then I went back and rewatched it with no sound.
Okay.
Because I figure the announcers tend to sway me, and
sure.
I still feel like Wonder Boy won round 1, 2, and 3. Now, why he didn't have the higher percentage of strikes, I think his striking was more effective, for lack of a better word. And one of the big things I kept hearing into play was the octagon control. Now, if you watch the fight, Till moved forward pretty much the whole fight. He was ready to go. And Wonder Boy backs into the cage. But Wonder Boy is a known counter striker. So who was really controlling the octagon? Was Till moving forward, or was Wonder Boy pulling him in so he can counter him? So it looks like Till's controlling it, but I think he was kind of playing into what Wonder Boy wanted. One of the other ones that I've been seeing a lot is people thought Wonder Boy won round 4. While I do not think that, I think he had the first 3. But in my mind, he won round 1, 2, 3 until 1, 4, and 5. But that's just me. But if you look at the stats, 98% of the media and people covering it had Wonder Boy winning that fight.
Well, I tell you, and this is, I guess it's all in, perception. I don't know that I'm convinced enough. I went back and watched it again. I think that Till won rounds 4 and 5 as well. I think the rounds that are in question are the first 3 because they were all 3 of them were very close. And I think,
absolutely.
And I think that those are the rounds that people are having, I guess you could say, problems with. Those are the rounds that I think people are more, discussing more than. I don't know. Some people I saw, I read a couple of people say. I mean, people all over the place. I saw a couple of people say they thought Till won rounds 1, 2, and Thompson won 4 and 5. I mean, I've seen stuff all over the place, and I think what it boils down to, like you said, is the control.
Right.
It's. I guess it depends on your perception. Like, it does look like you said, it looks like Till is controlling the pace, and he's controlling the octagon more than Thompson is. But, like you said too, Thompson is known to do that. He lures people in, he lures people back, he steps back, and he strikes off the cage sometimes. So it's interesting, and it's a catch-22, and it's. I don't.
I'll tell you what.
It's tough.
In defense of the decision and the judges, because it's hard. I could see it going either way. I don't think their job is to know that a fighter is a counterpuncher. I think when they judge octagon control, it's on sight alone. And if that's how they judged it, without taking into Wonder Boy's fighting style, Till controlled the octagon.
That's a good point. Because that's a very good point because just thinking about that, if they judged based off of the tendencies of certain fighters, you're talking about a whole nother Pandora's box because then they would start judging. Let's say they're watching a fight and they know that who. Let's say that certain people react differently. Oh, Michael Bisping can take a lot of punishment, so the punches you're landing on him, they're not affecting him as much because he can take it. Versus Doug.
Or what about
What
about the ground guys that like to submit from their back and they pull guard? Is
right.
it a takedown? Well, by the stats, it's a takedown.
Well, that's just
even though you pulled guard.
Like who was that guy? Jordan Knight, right? Jordan Knight versus oh my God.
Oh, Jason Knight.
Jason Knight. I'm sorry. Jordan Knight. That was a singer. That was an R&B singer.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, Jason Knight. So yeah, like he kept pulling. He pulled guard a couple times and pulled a rubber guard, and I think the judges might have seen it as something, like you said, like a negative. Like the guy was controlling on top of him, but he really wasn't. And I think that counted against him. When they made the decision. So. That's definitely interesting. It's a catch-22 because if you start wanting the judges to judge based off of something that the fighters do, like a tendency, like I said, you're opening up a whole other can of worms. So
absolutely,
it's definitely a good point.
And you got to figure just the welterweight division alone. I think the UFC has over 100 on the roster. How could you possibly learn 100 fighters' tendencies? So I understand why they judged it the way they did. And the reality is I felt Wonder Boy got kind of lax in the last 2 rounds. His corner probably had him up 3 rounds. And I'm assuming that's why he went and did it. But you have to account for, and unfortunately this happens. He's fighting in Liverpool. He's from Liverpool. You're going to have to do something above and beyond to make sure that you secure a judge's decision.
And I also say, kind of shame on both fighters because here it is. It's just huge fight. I mean, it was definitely just a big fight feeling, a big fight atmosphere. And, as soon as Till walked out and they were singing with him, and it was just like you just definitely felt like the crowd was just really into it, and being hometown, and Wonder Boy had everything to lose here because he's #1 contender. I mean, Till had a lot to lose too, but I think Wonder Boy was really the one to kind of a all or nothing thing here. I don't think he had but so much to gain off of this. You would have thought
he had almost nothing to gain off of this.
You would have thought that, especially that last round, maybe they should have, hey man, let's just fucking do it. Let's just throw down something. Let's go for it. I'm gonna knock you out, you knock me out, something, because they had to have known at that point that it was pretty damn close. Maybe they didn't know who was winning, but they had to have known at that point it was pretty damn close, and why they just didn't throw down is beyond me.
Yeah, I was expecting a whole match repeat. Just point to the center and let's just throw for the last 30 seconds, and we'll see what happens.
Where do you think they put Till after this?
You know what? I don't know, because now, will his day come when he's a champion? Probably. He's very talented. He's good at what he does. His ground game has not been tested yet, though, so we don't know that. I don't know. Are you supposed to move up when you don't make weight?
You see, and that's a whole nother can of worms as well, is how should, based off of, I mean, look what we just had with Mackenzie Dern. Here it is, there was that big deal where, of course, her weight issue, and then she went up in rankings, and then a lot of the media and a couple of the fighters said, hey, wait a minute, this is BS. She's moving up and they took her off.
And she bumped Angela Hill, who always makes weight.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know, but I'll say he was very humble after. He said, "It's my fuck up. I didn't make weight. I don't think I deserve a title shot." And he just wants to keep fighting guys in the top 10. So that's a good thing on his part. He recognized, something happened. He gave props to Wonderboy because he could have turned around and said, "I'm not fighting you. You missed by 5 pounds, dude."
I say, I think that he fights the loser of Covington and RDA.
That would be a smart fight.
That's what I think happens. I think that hopefully, I think that RDA Covington, hopefully, I think the idea which should be that one of them makes a quick turnaround to fight Woodley in like August or September or whatever. Because it's not unheard of to make a quick 2-3 month turnaround. And I'm pretty sure both of them would be game for that as long as, no crazy injuries or nothing like that. But I'd love to see like a September card with the winner of that versus Woodley and then the loser versus Till, and that could be your main and co-main event. And I think you got yourself just those 2 fights alone. I think would be enough to, stack a pay-per-view.
I think so. That's a good idea, and I'm still sticking to my initial prediction. I think 2019, Colby Covington ends up being your champion, but who knows? I mean, I'm calling that one on a gut feeling, kind of,
Yeah, he's something like you said. It's definitely controversial, but he's definitely something special, and I think that looking past all of the obnoxious kind of cringy shit talking sometimes, if you just look past all that, he's a really great fighter, and he's number 3 for a reason, and I think people are really sleeping on him.
I think that his Brazil comment is, like I said before, is what kind of threw him into a tailspin. Because if you want to talk about it, if you want to trash another fighter, that's part of it, But I think it got a little sideways when you bring in, like, race or nationality or, anything like that.
Yeah.
But what he did do, which you have to give him credit for, is he talked himself right into an interim title shot.
Yes, he did.
So at the end of the day, can you be mad at him?
I'm certainly not. Like I said, I think I'm one of we're some of the few because he just tends to trigger people wherever he goes. So I think we're a handful of people who are actually, I guess kind of pulling for him. But
I pick fights based on fight, their ability to fight, and I leave the trash talk part out. Would I have said what he said? Probably not. But if I was on a win streak and I was hunting a title shot, you never know. You might be willing to say it because now he's got RDA, who happens to be Brazilian. Should he win, the only logical fight for him next is Woodley. There's nothing else. There's no way to go around it. There's no way to we're going to try this first. I mean, his banter put him in a position to get where he wants. And you could, myself included, you talk to media people that have gotten a chance to talk to him. He's a nice guy.
Right.
He's not like some savage, bashing countries and this, that, and the other thing. I think what he did was in the interest of showmanship, and it just got
just got carried away. Maybe just got carried away in the moment. Yeah.
I think it just spiraled out of control.
Yeah. I guess real quick too.
But I don't know.
What do you think about? What's your quick thoughts on? There was another kick-started rumor again. Again, just a rumor. We've heard it a million times that instead of the Conor-Khabib match again, that kick-started again with Floyd and Conor in December. Does it need to happen? Do we really need to see it again? I don't know, man.
Well, this is what I've read up into the rumor, and again, it's all hearsay.
Yeah.
If he comes over, it will be modified rules. So I'm not interested in seeing a boxing match in the octagon.
I think you probably speak for three-quarters of the MMA world right there.
But if he came over under UFC rules, I would be more than happy to watch that.
I don't know, man. Well, I'm going to go wrap it up, man. Guys, please check out Nick Portella, nickportellamma.com. He's got all kinds of great original content. And, just give him a look out, give him a shout out, and just tell him I sent you. And please don't forget to share this. Please like this. And every little bit helps. And that's all we got for you, Nick. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime, brother. We'll do it again.
All right, buddy. Guys, take it easy.
All right,
Nick,
care.
take it easy. All right, man.
You too. Bye.
Hey, guys, if you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. Send me a message. I'm going to screw up here like long walks on the beach. I don't know. You never know. And please, for you audiophiles out there, we're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to us. Helps us out a ton.